Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome back to another DraftKings Week 5 video where we're going to talk about the Monday night game, Monday Night Football, the single game showdown between the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. An interesting matchup for sure. Indy might be a little bit overmatched in this one. They are big underdogs. They've got to go on the road to try to get things done on Baltimore, and the puzzle pieces don't quite fit for them. I'm going to break down all of it for you. Thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. Be sure that you ring the notification bells because I do a ton of content throughout the week, 7 days a week, like 8-9 videos on the main channel with another one on the second channel. Be sure that you ring that bell so that you get notified anytime I come out with new content. And I stream 6 days a week on twitch.tv/Al_smizzle if you want to go check out the live stream Monday through Friday, and then the last 45 minutes before lock. So let's hit this Monday Night Football game hard and see if we can't come away with the winner. Let's go.
He's a legend.
I hope that you guys had a really good Sunday main slate. A lot of the chalk smashed. A lot of the Best Buy stuff did really well. We're going to go over that on the recap video, which premieres on the second channel tomorrow afternoon, Al Smizzle Games. But if you did well, if you would take a couple of seconds and consider donating a little bit of your winnings to No Kid Hungry, we're trying to raise $25,000 this football season. We're approaching $13,000 raised on the year. Once we get to $15,000, that will trigger another $5,000 match from me. I am matching every $5,000 that is raised by our community, both Twitch and YouTube, up to $25,000. So right now, the community has raised $13K. I'm committed for 10. Once you get to 15, I'll put in another 5. If we can get that 25,000 and plus before the end of the calendar year, I will donate $25,000 to No Kid Hungry. 1 in 6 kids suffer from food insecurity in America, and we can do a little bit of our share. Every single dollar helps, so anything that you add to the pool will be greatly appreciated. So thank you guys very much, and let's get to the showdown. Taking a look at everything that we have here, obviously Lamar Jackson. Guess what, guys? He's really good at football. Usually, you know that I limit my captains to like captain quarterbacks to like 7 to 8%. But with a player like Lamar Jackson, I'm definitely not going to do that, especially in a game like this where he could go absolutely bonkers. We're going to get to some of that in a bit, but I want to break down Indianapolis first. So like, let's take a look at Indy. Carson Wentz, their quarterback, going to be their highest median projected player, but probably not their highest ceilinged player, even if the projections have him that way, just based on the way DraftKings scoring goes, with, you know, a yard for every 10 yards receiving and rushing, as well as points per reception and bonuses. Easy for one of his skill position players to have that captain game, that optimal captain game, if one of the Colts is a captain rather than Carson Wentz. I'm not seeing very many roads to like Carson Wentz throwing for 4 touchdowns and running for 1, or running for 2 and throwing for 3, where he'd be the optimal captain. To me, Lamar Jackson's the optimal captain on this slate, and we're going to talk about some other ones too. But like, if we're going to play Carson Wentz at captain, we have to kind of figure out where we're going to go with it. So the first thing that we have to look is, you know, who is he throwing the ball to this year? So we'll go over to NFL Savant because they have a nice little viz for us. Michael Pittman seeing 26+% of the targets for the Colts, but Zach Pascal right behind him, including a good amount of end zone and red zone targets for Pascal, leading the team in terms of red zone usage with 40% of the red zone targets going his way, and also one of the league leaders in terms of end zone targets. So a lot of touchdown upside with Pascal, and he's going to be overlooked if people are going to play the passing game with Pittman. Nyheim Hines, this does shape up that it looks like it might be a Nyheim Hines game, and I'll get to why in a second. Jack Doyle, their leading tight end. Jonathan Taylor, just play the guy like 60-70% of the snaps. Stop messing around with this Marlon Mack nonsense. He wants to be traded. You want to trade, like, just play him and then spell him with him and we'll be fine. But like, that's not what they're doing. So like, if we have Wentz at captain, and the problems with having Wentz at captain, multiple offensive linemen down for the Colts right now, 7-point dogs on the road. Baltimore has allowed the 11th least quarterback points against this season, and 17.32 per game right now on DraftKings, and the 6th least points to opposing wide receivers. So like, they've been actually quite good defensively. They just kind of limit what people can do against them. Now, if you're going to play Wentz at captain, and I'm probably not going to have very much Wentz at captain, I'm going to pair him with every single pass catcher. We talked about Pittman. I'm probably going to boost Pascal because of the touchdown upside here, and especially in a single game situation. Pittman's got to hit at some point. I just don't know if this is going to be the week. He's just getting way too much service to not score as many touchdowns, although Pascal has been the guy that, as you saw, has gotten the lion's share of the red zone targets. Mo Alley Cox has come on recently. I'm going to include Nyheim Hines in that group because he is one of the top 4 pass catchers on the team. We will include, this is the greatest. I love Blankenship. I love he's outstanding. I love the fact that he's a thing in the NFL. We will include him in that group as well. Jack Doyle will be in that group also because he is one of the pass catchers on that team. You can include anybody else you want, but I'm going to focus on forcing at least 2 of these guys into every Wentz at captain lineup. The problem, as I mentioned with Taylor, JT is tremendously talented. You guys know how much of a fan I am of this kid's game. The problem is they just don't keep him on the field enough. Like 40 to 45% of the snaps last week against Miami, he did a lot of damage, but like he has to do it from so far away because like then they mix in Nyheim Hines and then they give 10 carries to Marlon Mack, and like the Mack usage is utterly frustrating. I thought Mack was a super talented back a couple years ago. Obviously, I think that Taylor is a more talented back. I know that from a football perspective is different from a fantasy perspective. So like having this many guys who can play is bad for us as fantasy players. Cause like coaches be like, well, let's give him a spell. Let's get this other guy a little bit of run. We'll mix it up. But like at 900, right? You might want to have some Marlon Mack in there in case, right? Like his price is just cheap enough. And that's a captain, right? He's 600 to fit. Like he's got to get a little bit of love in lineups because it's not that much and gives you a lot of salary relief to get the players that you want. And it's at that point where DraftKings made it so damn tempting that I hate them for it. We looked at the target tree, just a bad offensive spot for Indy. Now looking at the other side, right? Here's your optimal captain. Lamar Jackson is as good a fantasy asset as you could possibly get. And we're seeing him do a lot more through the air this year, attempting more passes, completing more passes downfield. He's got a career best 8.7 yards per attempt this year. And that mixes well because Indy is, while they've been difficult on defense and they're stubborn, they play a zone defense, which kind of should at least a little bit mitigate Lamar Jackson's running ability. It's easier to be a running quarterback when teams play man and like you get a passing situation, you roll out of the pocket and like DB's backs are to you instead of everybody facing you. It could mitigate some of his rushing upside this week. However, they allow 8.4 yards per attempt against. So they have been susceptible to the deep ball. And that is exactly what Lamar Jackson does really, really well, especially this season. So if you are playing Lamar at captain, I said, if you are playing Lamar at captain, that was, I guess, my foghorn leg ornament there. I say, son, if you're playing Lamar Jackson at captain, I want to make sure that I'm going to have 2 of his pass catchers along with him in every lineup. And the 3 that make the most sense, looking again over at NFL Savant. Oh, look. Mark Andrews, 24%. Sammy Watkins, 24%. Marquise Brown, 22.5%. But Marquise Brown's targets are way downfield. And we understand that we've talked about the expected fantasy points for a player on DraftKings with a wide receiver with a sub 10 ADOT, average depth of target. If you get targeted somewhere around the line, think like Darren Waller. Most of his targets are inside of 10 yards. He's not getting targeted downfield as opposed to like a Henry Ruggs who gets targeted downfield a ton. Now, Marquise Brown, cut from that same cloth. He's got a long average depth of target, which means that every target that he gets theoretically is worth, and realistically, based on the trailing 3.5 years of data on DraftKings, is like 2.5 expected points per target. So going back to the showdown here, looking at what Marquise Brown has gotten, 5 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets, 6 targets. If he continues to get the ADOT that he gets, and he will, and he continues to get fed targets in games that play closer than, let's say, this Denver game when they kind of ran away from, and including the game where he dropped 3 touchdowns here, massive floor and ceiling combination for Marquise Brown in a game where the defense kind of suits him and Lamar Jackson's forte this year. Mark Andrews, one of the deeper targeted tight ends in the league. Most guys are targeted around the line of scrimmage. Mark Andrews has a really high average depth of target for the last couple of years since Lamar Jackson has taken over as quarterback. We're going to use Watkins. If you want to go with Devin Duvernay, he is involved in the very least, to say the least, at wide receiver, and he's also returning kicks and punts. So like, if you're going to pair up the Ravens defense in your lineups, you might want to say, in any lineup where you have the Ravens defense, at least boost Devin Duvernay's. You can go to set a player rule. If a lineup includes Ravens defense, then boost Devin Duvernay to try and shoot for that double dip. If he does return a kick or a punt for a touchdown, you get the 6 point. You get the touchdown for Duvernay, but you also get the 6 points on the DST, so you can get it 2 times back to back if that's what you want to try and attack. Just look, Showdown is the wild, wild west as far as we will include Tucker in those lineups. I don't think Bateman's going to be like, he may make his pro debut. Watch. I don't think he's going to be ready, right? If he is, monitor the situation. He's too cheap to completely ignore if he's active, but he's not going to be a core play for me. Although I love the talent, they might ease him in. If he plays like 30% of snaps, think of the situation that Curtis Samuel was, not this week when he left the game injured, but last week when he was making his first game back from that 4-week groin injury that off-season groin injury that lingered 4 weeks of the regular season. Rashad Bateman, if they play him on Monday night, might be eased in, right? But eased in at the price that he's at is more than enough that we need. If he gets like 30% of the snaps and like 3-4 targets, more than enough to pay off that 300 salary, and you can fit a lot of the stud players if that's what you want to do. So if we are going to play other players at our captain spot, like, again, I said at the captain spot, I'm going to pair. If Marquise Brown has a massive day, then so does Lamar Jackson. If Mark Andrews has a 2-touchdown day in order to be the captain, that means that Lamar Jackson also probably going to have to be in those lineups. So we're going to pair our captain pass catchers with that. And the last guy that we have to talk about, Latavius Murray, was the lead back last week in week 4. 65% of the snaps. They had Tyson inactive for that game. I don't know if the Ravens know exactly what they want. He looked spry, right? He looked like he was all right. Only 3.3 yards per carry. The problem with the backs right now with the Ravens in the last couple of years, they just don't throw the ball a lot to them. So like, he has to score touchdowns. It's more of a contrarian play, a leverage play off of everybody's going to be on Lamar Jackson. If you wanted to have Latavius Murray as your captain to play off of Lamar Jackson, thinking that, well, Latavius Murray could just vulture 3 touchdowns away, which we've seen happen with Mark Ingram in the past with this Ravens offense, and Lamar doesn't have a big day, that gives you a lower profile guy, a lower percentage guy in your tournament. So looking over at Fantasy Labs for what we want to do, this is the optimizer that we use. If you guys wanted to go visit, there will be a link down below in the description. Click smizzle.tv/labs, uppercase LABS. The L is uppercase. It's case sensitive. I should probably change it, but I'm too lazy. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 2 pass catchers or kicker from the same team. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 1 running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end from the opponent. Pair the wide receiver at captain with the quarterback from their team. Pair the tight end with the quarterback from their team. Limit to at most 1 defense and kicker from the same game. Now, if I wanted to say, I could say excluding or including only Baltimore, right? Because I will allow Nyheim Hines in the group for Indy quarterback. Then I could build another rule that says pair the captain quarterback from Indy with this and include Nyheim Hines. Like you just add a secondary rule. But these are the main rules that I use. And at most 1 defense and kicker from the same game. We're going to apply those settings. We're going to come over here to the lineup builder. As you can see, I noticed that a lot of people jump over here and look for the lineups that get built, and they complain a lot in the replies. Go look for them. So instead of sorting by ceiling so that people can be lazy and just look for lineups on the lineup builder as it builds here, as they just try and jot everything down, I'm going to optimize by the floor instead of the ceiling like I normally do, so that those guys who are just looking to copy and paste a lineup off the internet can completely screw themselves. So if that's you, watch the damn video and figure out how to play and not look for a lineup to copy and paste. That's going to be it for this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell. Hope you did well on Sunday. Bye.
He's a legend.